Hello, Sacred Studios here, and today we're going to be looking at my Banjo Kazooie action figure set. So, like my K. Rool action figure video, this is going to be like a set of multiple custom figures that I've made, mostly for episode 5, my stop motion. So, if you'd like to check out where these figures were used, I'll leave that in the description. So, without further ado, first off, we have Banjo and Kazooie, the namesake of this video. Now, interesting fact about these guys. These were, like, I believe the last action figures that I made before I got my 3D printer. So these guys are actually pretty old. They're about, I believe I made them about a year ago, but still I think they hold up pretty well. So first up, we have Banjo. So for Banjo, I used this old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure. I believe it was like a Mikey, and I really edited him like quite a bit, so you can't really tell that he was ever a Ninja Turtle. And I sculpted him so much that he's actually really heavy for a figure because the epoxy's kind of weighing him down. His backpack actually made out of craft foam, and as seen here, he can actually hold other figures in his backpack, not just Kazooie. Next up, we have Kazooie, Banjo's partner. I actually kind of like pulled a Sid from Toy Story and just kind of like ripped off a bunch of different parts from a bunch of different sources and just kind of made a figure out of it. And a lot of her isn't even from an action figure. For example, her head articulation is actually from a Crayola marker that I cut in half and just placed it onto this little it was a lawn ornament actually, of like a cardinal, I believe, and that's kind of like how I made her body. And her feet is actually made out of an Inkling Boy from World of Nintendo. I had a bunch of extra ones laying around, so I cut one in half. But yeah, besides that, that's really how I made her. It was pretty simple. Now, Kazooie actually needed two action figures to be made of her. The second part was so that she can actually fit in Banjo's backpack. So yeah, you can like switch her head around between both bodies, and it looks like it's just one action figure, but in reality, it's actually two. So that's kind of like a cool effect I did. Next up, we have Banjo's sister, Tootie. Now, Tootie was only in one game before Smash Bros. That's a fun fact. She was only in the original Banjo Kazooie, and after that, they just stopped using her. But from here, this is actually one of my 3D modeled action figures. 2D was just made from her Smash model I downloaded directly online, and her body is from a Tomcat from, I believe, Jazzwares, and that's kind of like how I made that. And I just sculpted a shirt over her and painted her, and besides that, she was pretty simple to make. Next up, we have Mumbo Jumbo, the shifting shaman of the Banjo Kazooie universe. Think of him kind of like how Cappy is in Mario Odyssey. That's pretty much kind of what he does. And this figure was again used. I used the 3D printer for, and I got his model directly from online from just Smash Ultimate. But unfortunately, when I printed him out, just like my printer really couldn't understand like that the things on top of his head was feathers. So the printer just kind of printed it out as just strings. So I had to make the feathers manually using just craft foam. And his body is from a Mr. Meeseeks. Um, it was pretty simple to just like cut the figure up to make it look shorter, and the little thing around his waist was again made out of craft foam. So last but certainly not least, we have probably my favorite figure in this collection. We have Gruntilda Winky Bunyan, which is actually voiced by my mom in my stop motion series. Now this figure is probably up there with the top figures. It's definitely the best Banjo-Kazooie figure I made. And the way I made it was actually probably one of the simplest ways. So I got this Gru action figure from some movie that it didn't even come out yet. It was like something like Minions Rise of Gru. Really all I had to do was get this flexible plastic sheet and just put it around the Gru figure. Replace the head with a 3D printed head and just paint her up. And luckily the Gru figure came with his own scarf, so I could just use the same scarf for both figures. And besides that, yeah, it's pretty much like I didn't have to do that much editing. So here's Grunty, and again, this is probably one of my favorite action figures. And you can check out all of these figures in episode 5 of my stop motion series.